I'm excited to talk about this because so often in the manifestation space, it's all about material things, the house, the car, the money. But what happens when you get that and you're not present in it? And it's not scratching that itch that you thought it was going to scratch. And you're sitting there with this money, you're sitting here in the dream house, but everything still feels empty. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm really excited to talk about the emotional freedom and manifesting that and just what I've learned as a channeler through that. Like, there's so much I could talk about with how this relates to our past lives and the healing journey and all that. So, you tell me where you want to begin and we can
Okay.
just dive into it.
Welcome to the Shift Your Vibe to Thrive podcast. My name is Emily Evans Russell, and I'm a single mom, multiple six-figure business owner, and master mindset and energy coach. I created this podcast with two main targets. One, to give you practical tools so that no matter where you are in your life right now, you not only know that things can shift, but you know how to make them greater. And two, to change your frequency so that you become an energetic match for everything you desire. I'm talking your relationships, your finances, your success, all of it. Think of this podcast as your weekly energetic upgrade with a mix of subconscious mind hacks, ways to quantum leap, and consciousness shifts. A place where you learn to sculpt your reality and actually finally truly have the magical life you deserve and one that works for uniquely you. Are you ready to uplevel your reality? I think I hear yes, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. Thank you so much for being here. And now let's go to the show. Well, I'd love you to start a little bit about you introducing like who you are and how you found out you were a channeler and like access this gift
Mhm.
and how you use it in your life and then to help others. So it kind of frames the conversation of this is a different way to access information. I've been so lucky to get to know you, and I just find it fascinating. So give us a little background of Gaby and how you discovered this gift and how you use it.
Oh, thank you so much. So, yes, my name is Gabby, and I am an intuitive channeler. And I discovered this gift through it was on the other side of a very intense healing journey that I never anticipated. I grew up just always feeling like I was a little different. Like I had friends and all that, but I like my dad would always say, and he'd say it in the most loving way, he's like, "You're just different." And he'd say it in a very encouraging way. And I just felt that. Like I had a very strong intuition and I just never really felt like I fit in. And again, I was acquaintances with so many people and I really had a great upbringing, but I just never felt like I fit in. Like I have 3 sisters and all of them knew what they wanted to be when they grew up and they all had these deep passions and I would always just say like, I just want to help people and like I know that I'll run my own business one day and I just knew that. And people would be like, "Well, what's the business going to be?" And I was like, "I don't know. I just know that that's what I do." And they're like, "That's not how you do business. That makes no sense." And so then I went through schooling and I was not good in school at all. And so as a result of not doing too great in high school, I couldn't get into business school or anything like that. And it felt like my dreams of just running my own business became overshadowed by these insecurities that I picked up along the way and this deep lack of confidence that I had. And I got into a college, thankfully, and I just went through the motions, and I was always very money driven. I just again, I knew in my heart, like, I would just have a lot of money one day. I just always knew that. And so I went on this journey of, like, maybe it's not through my business. Like, maybe I was wrong. And so then I started in the 9 to 5 life, and I remember my first job I was 22 minutes into it. It was 9:22 in the morning, and I looked at my camera and I said, "0% chance." I looked at my clock, not my camera, sorry. 0% chance I will be doing this till I'm 65. There is no way in hell I am doing this. So I said, "All right, Gabby, we gotta start figuring it out." And I really struggled. I got very frustrated with myself because I just kept saying, like, if I just had something to offer to people, I I have the grit, I have the drive, I know I'd be able to do it, but I couldn't figure out what differentiated me. I couldn't figure out the skills I brought to the table. And I realized that, like, how deep my wounds were.
Mm,
And so I stayed in corporate America. I went from doing sales at a magazine to doing tech sales in Manhattan, and I did that for 5 years, and the misery was I don't remember a lot of it because my mind quite literally blacked it out. I mean, when I was living in New York, I was commuting to work 5 hours a day because
Oh
I was
my
living with
god.
my boyfriend, who's now my husband, but he's a neurophysiologist. He needs to be near, like, the hospitals that he works at, and he has to be within an hour to all of them for when he gets called in. And part of me moving up there was knowing that that was the case, and so we weren't where we lived, there wasn't anything there for me, so I had to take the train into the city, and I look back on that and I get sad because I'm like, New York is such a cool place, but I hated it with everything I had in me, and I that's not a word that I'd use often, and during that time, man, I was miserable, and so I don't remember it, and I remember about 5 to 10% of it, and it was during that time where I was like, "Universe, like, I beg you," and I wasn't even spiritual then, I wasn't religious and nothing, I
Wow.
just said to myself, like, "Universe, I beg you," and so COVID happens, we actually moved out to New Mexico during this time, and I got to work remote and get a little bit of my life back, and I was let go, and I was let go of my job, and I just said, "Thank you, like, thank you, let's go, now it's time to start the business." So, at that point, there were some coaches on Instagram and stuff, and I just said, "Screw it, I guess I'll just coach people, I have no idea with what, but I'm just gonna try." And I just put myself out there. I put myself out there so I would make videos, and mind you, everyone who is following me on Instagram were people from middle school and high school and family who I was
Right.
so embarrassed to do this in front of.
Now at this
And,
point, are you even saying, like, you don't even you're an intuitive channeler? No. You're just like, I'm
no,
gonna
no, 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 no.
right.
I was a business coach. Yes, I was saying I was a business coach, and because I was like, "Okay, at least I started, like, I can help somebody at least start." And I just so badly wanted to help people. And so I worked my tail off for 6 months, and I did not make a freaking dollar. And that just spun me into a tizzy because I was like, "Wait a second. I grew up knowing that I was gonna have a successful business. Why isn't it happening?" And it felt like in that moment, every single thing that I've ever went through in my life just boiled up to the surface.
Mm.
So now I don't have much money after just working in Manhattan and doing great for myself. So that's dwindling. COVID happens and so much uncertainty. And we moved back to the East Coast thinking we're going to buy a house. I don't know how we were thinking that. Neither of us had jobs. And we moved in with my mother in law, who is the best person in the world, but we moved into her spare living room. So I go from just really having my own independence, getting used to that, having plenty of money, being able to buy whatever we wanted and all of that to now sharing a home, living in a spare living room. My 2 dogs, who are my entire life, loved each other, started fighting, hated each other, and we had a cat. So there's 5 of us in this tiny room. And I started going through a spiritual awakening, which I had no idea what the hell that was. But I have a friend who's an animal communicator, and I was sitting with her to help me figure out what was going on with my dogs because that was the most heartbreaking thing I've ever experienced. And I wasn't giving any of them up. So we had to figure something out. And she was saying to me, she was like, "Your soul is ascending." And I said, "What in the world does that mean?" Mind you guys, there was nothing spiritual about me. I said the word universe like twice in my life. Nothing. I knew nothing about this. And I was like, Excuse me, what? Like, do I need to go to the hospital? Like, is everything okay?" And she was just explaining it to me, and it made no sense. So then I go on Google, and I was like, "What do you do if your soul is ascending?" And I just like it that next 13 months was just a blur because it was the lowest point of my life. Every single wound I've ever had made its way up to the surface. Insecurities, physical pains, everything, and I had no choice but to just work through each one if I literally wanted to survive. Like, it was that. And
Wow.
then 13 months later, we end up getting a house. Thankfully, my my husband went back to his job and stuff. We finally got accepted on a house after getting 11 denials because the market in Massachusetts was just ridiculous. I mean, people were paying
Yeah.
$200,000 over asking price, all in cash. We couldn't compete. It was awful, but we ended up getting our house, and right around that time, I started having these experiences with clients, and at that point, I'd gotten some clients and gotten the show on the road here, and again, I'm still not a channeler, I was a business coach, but I started having experiences where I'd be talking to them, but I'd also hear other things, and it was so distracting, and if I couldn't focus in the conversation unless I said to them, like, "Hey, I'm so sorry, but I'm just, like, thinking this thought. Can I share it with you?" They're like, "Yeah." And I'd be like, "I keep hearing, like, a dog bark. Do you have a dog?" And they're like, "Well, my dog just died." And I was like, "What in the world is going on here?" And it just started flooding in. And I'll never forget, I was doing a podcast recording with a channeler because I started getting a little more spiritual at this point, really into manifestation because I was so desperate to get out of my situation. And she said to me, she's like, "You know what's happening, right?" And I was like, "No, I don't. Could you please tell me?" And she's like, "You're a channeler." And I said, "Is that what this is?" And I'm telling you, Emily, it took me a hot second, but then my entire life made sense. My entire life started to make sense. I realized that I was channeling my whole life, but I didn't trust myself to receive the information. I was so disconnected from myself. I hated myself for so long. And I had to rebuild my way through that and
Mm.
meet my authentic self again to really connect the dots. And then I connected the dots and I went all in. And I said, "Thank you, universe, because I knew I had a gift. Thank you for making it obvious." And when I say the rest is history, the rest is history. I made a YouTube video of me shaking. I'm literally shaking, saying, "Guys, I think I can channel. And I don't know, I'm testing this out, but I know in my heart that I have to shift away from being a business coach to doing this work with people. I just know that in my heart and my gut. And if anyone wants to ride this with me, my God, I'd be so grateful for you. And if you don't, that is totally fine." And then I mean, it just flew in like freaking hotcakes after that. And it was awesome. The hardest part of that was having a conversation with my husband because it really clicked about 1 week before we were getting married. And
Of course.
it's not his thing. It's not his thing, and I had to call him because he was, traveling for something and be like, "Eric, like, this is what I can do," and he was like, "You could have people over to the house and, like, have a crystal ball." I'm like, "No, no, no," but, like, I I just said, "I owe it to you to tell you this before we get married in case this is a deal breaker for you," and he was like, "I love you. I want you to be happy. I don't get it, but anything I can do to support you." And then that was it, and so here we are.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was
Long
such
story,
an
guys, sorry.
No, but I really am really glad you shared that because I think so many of the things you mentioned throughout that story, that moment of being like, I know I'm here for something, but I don't know what it is. And I don't know what my gift is. And then realizing that you had that capacity your whole life. It just couldn't come through until you really stepped into like, this is just me and did the
Yeah.
healing work that showed up.
I had to learn to love myself again. I hated myself, and I hate to say that, but that is the truth. I did not like myself. I wasn't myself. I was a shell of what everyone else around me conditioned me to be.
Wow. Do you have any? I mean, it's such a personal journey. So I don't even really know what question to ask, but but
I'm an open book. Ask me
yeah,
anything. I'm
exactly,
an
like
open
and
book.
also, like, because that is I really believe everyone has their own hero's, heroine's journey, so we all have our own thing
Mhm.
to face, and
Yeah.
it's easier to turn away from it, but if we go towards that, I think we all have this really beautiful, unique, amazing life path. Do you have any advice or when you channel and tap into for no matter what it is for that person, but when we're at that place of I'm unsure. I don't know what I'm doing. I want to give up on myself and the doubt and all that stuff comes in of what's that next? What are some steps to take or yeah.
You listen to that voice inside of you that is sometimes only 0.00001% there. There was always this thing inside me, and in the months where it's like my bank account was in the red, I felt like there was no hope, there was nothing, there was always this voice, even if it was the size of a minuscule crumb that was like, "This is where you're meant to be, and it sucks, and you're gonna get through it, like, just keep going." And it's in those moments when you feel like you have nothing left to give and you just, if anything, agree to hang on for just like another minute,
Mm,
you get closer and closer and closer. And it's the people that I meet who have the journeys like that, especially with themselves. Like, that's why I don't care how much money you have. That will never impress me. Tell me about your relationship with yourself. Tell me about the journey you've been on. How do you feel emotionally? What is your dedication to your emotional like, that is what I wanna know, because that tells me everything,
yeah.
right? Like, it takes so much grit and willpower to go on a healing journey. It is the most impressive thing in the world to me. I don't care who you are. Again, I don't care how much money you have. That will never impress me. Your willingness to go on a healing journey blows my socks off. I am like, that is the most badass thing you could possibly do.
I so agree. Can you talk about that manifestation in the form of, so a lot of us would say, well, I'd like to manifest more abundance. And
Mhm.
abundance is one of those words that can mean a bazillion different things to different people.
Yeah,
A lot of us would come with like, well, yeah, great, a job and a house and money would be wonderful. But can you
yeah.
speak about the that can come too, but that
Mhm,
manifesting abundance and freedom, emotional freedom, like what that
mhm,
can look like and how we can start to check in with ourselves on our own journey of
mhm,
what are we actually asking for, and
mhm,
how can I manifest that, and what's going on in my world and my body and my
mhm,
journey to allow that to happen with the most
mhm.
ease and clarity, I guess. Yeah.
Absolutely. So let me lay out the steps that I recommend to anybody listening who wants to manifest emotional freedom. This also works for material things, and I'm not saying that manifesting material things is bad. We all do it. Material things are resources, right? We need money is a resource. Money is a beautiful thing. It is a resource. Having a home is a resource. Like, beautiful, beautiful things. It's just a matter of when you have those things, are you able to enjoy it? I want nothing more than for everyone in the world to be able to experience their dream life and not just achieve it.
Mm.
You receive it, you fully receive it. You're there for it. You're present. You're happy. You're excited. You're joyful. You're sad. You're all of the emotions that are so necessary, but you're not numbed out. You're not numbed out with it. So, anyone listening, as much as you're manifesting material things, I deeply encourage you to also manifest emotional things, because your emotional ROI is so important when it comes to your dream life. I work with the people who have manifested the material, but they're numbed out. They're not enjoying it. They can't even feel it.
So explain what that is for people. Like, what is emotional ROI and the feeling that if there's numbed out, and then what's the other the other
Yeah.
possibility?
So you manifest the material, right? Let's say that you have the dream house. You have the food in the fridge, you have the cars, you have all of that. And you also have a family. And you all wanted that just under one roof. You have that under one roof. But when it comes to dinner time on a Tuesday night with your kids, you can't even engage in conversation with them, or you're talking to them, but like your mind's not registering what they're saying because you're so focused on work and being able to maintain and what's the next thing to achieve and what's the next thing on the to-do list. You're
Mm.
not present in any of it. And so then by the time you know it, everyone's done with their plates. You've barely touched yours because you're not hungry, because you can't feel your hunger cues because your body is numbed out. Your kids are starting to get the wiggles in their chair and they're ready to get up. And you're sitting there and you're like, what did my daughter even say? What did my son even say? What's going on? Oh, it's bedtime? Instead, what we want that to look like is you are 10 toes on the ground for dinner time. You are there, baby. You are there. You connect with your kids, you connect with your partner, you connect with your animals, whatever is in your life. You're receiving what they're saying, you're hearing what they're saying, you're feeling that in your body. Your son is telling you about the goal he scored at recess, and you can feel in your body like, "That's so awesome. He went out to recess, he took a bet on himself, joined the team that was playing and he scored a goal and now he's telling me this. I care so much about his emotional needs because I've made the space for mine. So now I can receive his and I want to pour that into him. Does that make sense?
Oh, 100%.
I
Yes.
hope I explained that well. I felt like I just went off on
I
a
think
tangent
that's a
there.
great, like really tangible, this is what the difference is
Mm,
like. So if that feels to someone like so far away,
mhm.
how, because you mentioned the body, like how do we get there from going like scattered, I'm all
Yeah.
over the place to present
Mhm.
so that you can really enjoy being alive in all those moments?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So step number 1, there's 4 steps here. The first step is that you are going to choose how you wanna feel. And this so we're manifesting this, guys. Step 1 is choose. We're not asking. I don't want you to say like, "Universe, can I please feel better?" You are in control. So as a channeler, the one thing I can absolutely tell you is you are in control of like you create your reality. You work with the universe. The universe is not in the driver's seat. You're in the driver's seat. So choose how you want to feel. From this point forward in my life, I am choosing presence. I'm going to be wherever my feet are, my mind, my heart, and my soul, I'm going to be there. If I'm at baseball practice, I'm at baseball practice. If I'm at work, I'm at work. If I am at the school play, I'm at the school play. And if I'm at the gym, I am at the gym. You choose because choice is your power. You manifest from your power. So step 1 is choosing. Step 2 is healing everything that's preventing you from feeling that way.
Mm.
So, as you begin this, right? Universe, I'm choosing this. The universe works alongside of you. You are going to get triggered. That is just what happens and it gets uncomfortable and that's why I say like this journey isn't for the weak because you're going to get as a human I say tests, but it's always channeled as opportunities.
Mhm.
The universe is always going to throw opportunities at you to be present. And if you struggle with that, you're meant to in that moment because it's showing you the blind spots in that. What a gift, right?
What a
And
gift.
so, yeah, you get to take those things and heal your way through it. Now, there's a million different healing tools out there, as people know. There is therapy, there's hypnotherapy, there's exercise, there's journaling, there's so many things. There's no perfect solution, but you are meant to just grab one of the tools out of the toolbox, right? So whether it's journaling, whether it's a channeling session, whether it is meditation, you grab it and go. If you find that your nervous system is very amped up and it's really struggling to slow down, I don't want you to meditate. It is like the way it's channeled to me is imagine a Ferrari at a racetrack going 100 miles an hour and you want to just dead stop. That doesn't that you can't. Physics, it's impossible. The car's gonna flip. It won't work. Same with your nervous system. We don't want it to ask. It's at 100. We don't want to bring it back down to 0. Baby steps. Just like in a Ferrari to slow it down, we're gonna just step on the brake.
Yeah.
Slowly step on the brake. We're not slamming on it. We're stepping. With this step, it's very important for you to just hone into your intuition and really asking yourself, like, what support do I need to work my way through this? And find that support. There's so many people out there to help you. There's ChatGPT to help you work through it. Like there's so many things out there. And then the third step, 2
Well,
and
can
3
I
really
add
kind of
before you go
oh, go
to
ahead.
step 3, because I really love
Yeah.
how you framed that of
Mhm.
universe does, there are so many tools out there, and to listen to your intuition and knowing in the moment of what may work.
Yeah.
If it is channeling or journaling, or I really found breath work helpful because I was like,
Mhm.
my nervous system was like, I can't sit still and meditate, but I can, if you give me something like breath work, so that for me at a certain time was right. Couldn't have done that and
Totally.
made meditation more available and all that. But I love that you hone into, there's so much available. Just pick one and start
Yeah. Yeah.
and go from there. That's beautiful.
100%. And I just want to emphasize thank you for bringing up breath work because I just want to emphasize that if you are in the spot of overdrive nervous system, but you're wanting to get to the point of like Zen meditation, breath work is your avenue there. It is perfect because it moves this excess energy up and out. breathwork just personally has been a massive part of my journey. It has
Yeah.
been a massive part of my journey, and any like that breathwork is where it's at. It is the way that you're able to connect with yourself through it is incredible, and you build so much trust with your body
Yes,
because
that.
you learn that your breath can slow you down.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And you learn
It's
your nervous system can handle, like, because you're the one driving the car and adjusting the
yes.
speed with your breath, it's like, "Okay, this is coming up," like, whatever trigger and things that are like, a trigger is a teacher, so you start to learn and trust your body, like, "I can handle this anger or this hatred or this sadness, like, what is it? I'll move it through safely," and it builds that. I've just found it amazing for widening the capacity of our own nervous system in our own timeline.
Oh, I emphasize that so much, and it's especially when you start doing the breath holds and stuff,
Mhm,
and you that is stillness to its extreme. Like, I've never reached the point in meditation that I do in breath work of
mhm.
just, like, total calmness, but to your point of, like, trigger is a teacher, I can absolutely confirm there is no way to get through a trigger without feeling your way through it.
Mm.
And having somebody guide you to that through your breath, it is the quickest way to move through it, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
I yep.
Yeah, seriously,
Glad we took that little sidetrack. Yeah, it's beautiful.
it is. It's totally so definitely emphasize that as a beautiful tool for anyone who is feeling called to it. And then the third step there, and step 2 and 3 here really kind of go hand in hand, is embody. So
Mm,
you really wanna start acting as this present person. Back to the dinner example. You may feel your dog is so cute, oh my god. You're gonna make a choice, right? It's Tuesday, 5 PM, you're gonna start making dinner, and you're going to say to yourself as you're walking out of your office into your house or down the stairs, wherever your office is, "I am gonna be present at dinner with my kids, I am making that choice." It's not gonna be perfect. You're training your body to do this, but you're making that choice, and you're gonna put your best foot forward. And so you embody that present person. As you're embodying, you're going to find that triggers come up.
mm.
You can say to yourself, or you can say to your angels, angels, I feel this trigger. Can you please hold it for me? Because I'm present with my kids right now, or I'm present with my husband, I'm present with my dog, we're all eating dinner together. Can you hold this trigger for me? And when I'm ready to work on it, which will be soon, whether it's when everyone's in bed or tomorrow morning, please bring it back to me.
Mm.
So often people feel the trigger and then that's it. Mind spirals, body flipping out of control. Take control of that, guys. You can take control of that. Angels, your angels are right there to help. They are there to help you. Your angels are right there. And they need your consent. They need you to ask for help. So, angels, can you please take this from me? Hold on to it and bring it back to me during my intentional time to work on this.
That is
That
so
is you.
simple, and I have
Mhm.
never, and it makes so much sense because when we don't, either it derails us in the moment or it keeps playing in the background, like, "I need to handle this, I need to look at it," and then we're not present. And just to go
Totally.
take an action, which is just asking, "Can you hold this for me?" is
That's all. It's that
beautiful.
simple. You
Yeah.
have a whole team, guys, and they're here to help you. They just need you to ask for help. They respect you too much to not take your consent. They need your consent. And that's you taking like I find that everyone just wants control so badly. That is it's just what we're conditioned to. This is an area that you can control. Angels, delegate. I need you to please do this. Right now, I'm present. That's you taking control of your mind. That is you being in the driver's seat of your nervous system and telling your nervous system, I got you. We're going to stay in this state. And with your angels there. So, deeply recommend that. And then the final step in all of that is to receive your surprise. And so, when I channel this manifestation methodology, usually the last step is like, just, like, there's your manifestation. And the way it was channeled is that it's going to be a surprise because it's always 10 times greater than you could ever imagine. So just leaving yourself in that receptive state. And you do that by just knowing that you are well on your way. You are well on your way to that emotional freedom. You are well on your way to feeling better because you're taking control through your action. You are actively healing You are actively embodying and you've made the choice. You are in your power, and through universal law, nothing else can happen besides this manifestation coming into fruition.
Mm.
Yeah.
I love that you broke that down into 4 really simple steps. And
Oh, God.
that can I ask you one thing about step 4? That, like,
Absolutely.
being in that state of receptivity, of that anticipation and trust, and I know this is coming, and I'm so excited for it, but I don't know what it's gonna look like, but I know it's coming. I know for myself and in conversations I've had with people, that is so easy in that place to let all of the doubt and the loud voice of ego come in and be like,
Mhm.
this isn't going to happen. I know for me, it's a lot of, I don't want to look stupid for hanging on to. I know that this way of manifesting and bringing things into the world is true. And I've heard this echoed in
Mhm.
people that I know too of, but if I really put myself out there and really hold on to, I know this is showing up. Like you mentioned with your
Mhm.
business, like I don't know what this is, but I know
Yeah.
I'm doing this. And I know it's so common. And to right before that shows up, it's just like, I rather bow out before,
Yeah.
like, so at like
Yes.
6, right? I'm gonna take my skin out of the game before I, like, really stay in there, and I get that's a nervous system thing, like, it's scarier to, like, stay all in and trust
Mhm.
it than go, "You know what? I could pull out and, like, save a little bit," but then you're
Yeah,
never
let me just
yeah, let's
yeah,
just get out of there. That's a little
let's
scary.
not try so hard. Yeah, let's just, like, lower the bar a little bit. Yes, it's
Oh,
so your question being, like, how do you work through
yeah.
it?
Yeah, yeah.
You you laugh just like we're doing now, like, you just laugh. You're like, "Yeah," and this is okay, so here are signs that you know that it's right around the corner for you. All hell breaks loose. You get like 15 triggers in one day. It's usually just like the final kaboom in the best way. You find that you're feeling there's like a 2 or 3-day period where you're just feeling super resistant, and that is your old self last ditch effort of just keeping you where you are. And the more you do this, the more you can literally look at that and laugh and be like, "You guys are just like, this is it is comical that this is what happens." Like,
Yeah.
it's comical. And you just laugh at it and appreciate it at the same time where it's like, "Thank you for trying so hard." Like, you're trying so hard right now to just keep me here. And that is how I know that, like, this this level of emotional freedom I'm in the process of receiving is just so next level for me. Like, this is what
Mm,
I dreamed of, and you Pat, like, you're showing me right now by just trying to keep me here for so long. And I'm not saying that you have to be, like, full steam ahead all the time. When I'm manifesting and I go through that 2 or 3-day period, I actually just sit in it. I just allow it. I allow my former self to work its last energy out of me. I
okay.
don't force it. I don't I sit there and I laugh and I know what's going on. I'm aware and I wouldn't say I give into it. I'm not like, "Okay, yeah, no, take me back." I just say like, "If you gotta work some energy out, let's do it. Just work it out. I'll lay low for today and tomorrow or however long I feel, like, I'll lay low." And that's like an intuition thing. Like, I know when I'm laying low too much or I know when it's time to not lay low anymore. I hope that that makes sense. But if I feel something like is working its way out, like this is a big ask for all the energy we're working with. So
Oh,
let's chill out a
that's
little
so
bit, let that
beautiful
happen.
and so fun to go, yeah, when you have about 15 triggers in a day,
Yeah, yeah, right.
that's a good sign. I know because we had a conversation where I was like, "I've been in hermit mode for so many months, and I keep thinking it's gonna end." But like you said, then the really recently, instinctually and intuitively, I've known, "Oh, I can feel this part going, okay, we're ready to let this old self wants to kick and scream a bit and just let it like, I don't wanna do that. I don't," and then just, like, being
Yeah.
with that is so beautiful and going, "It's okay.
Yeah,
Let
it's
that out."
funny.
It's funny. It's
Yes. It's intense, it's funny, it's all the things, but it's something that's so important to highlight, I find, is that there's no timeline to this, guys. Like, even as a channeler, I don't ever receive a timeline, and you'll probably heard, "Well, time doesn't exist," and I wanna explain that. That confused the hell out of me because I was like, "Well, my mortgage is due on the 1st and the credit card bill is due on the 5th, so tell me time doesn't exist." In the human, we are 50% human, 50% soul. The 50% time is absolutely a real thing. Like noon is 12 o'clock. Like that that is a real thing. Energetically speaking, it's your energy is not like, well, this will happen in 3 months. It's a vibrational thing, right? It's a space thing. It is however long it takes your body to process something is how long it takes. And so there's no timeline to it. There's no like, okay, well, you're gonna feel better in 36 days. No, you're gonna feel better when this process is through. And there's no rushing that, there's no forcing that. It's just being with it. The less you fight it, the faster it goes. That I will say. And so if you're feeling a huge, just a ton of triggers and you gotta just you need that white space in your calendar, you gotta cancel the whole week, go for it. I love when people tell me they're in hermit mode. When you told me you're in hermit mode, I was like, "Hell yeah," because that is you not fighting this urge that your body's like, "Can we just hunker down? Allow me to process this emotion. Hunker down because what's on the other side of this is explosive in the best way. We've gotta just, like, let's just rest for a minute. Let's just rest." Trust that urge to go inward. Trust it with everything you have. My best seasons have come from me being in hermit mode.
Wow.
You will know when it's time to get out of it. It will probably last longer than ideally, we're like, "Okay, this can last, like, 2 days." You might need a little longer than that. Don't fight hermit mode. Do what you gotta do, of course. Like, I'm not saying you blow all responsibilities. Do what you gotta do, but hermit if you wanna hermit. And the more you just follow your body's cues, like, your body knows how to get where you wanna go.
Yeah.
And deconditioning, it is like your body running marathon after marathon after marathon, but because we're not physically running a marathon, we don't acknowledge that. Like, my
Wow.
ask of everyone listening here is to acknowledge that. And something I channeled recently was this sentence: "If you knew how much your soul has been through, you would slow down." So many of you listening, I can guarantee, have lived a lot of lifetimes. You would be amazed at comes in how much from a past life comes into this life. The triggers that you are feeling in this life are there is about a 75% chance that that is something from a past life that is working its way through you, that nothing is going to fix, it just has to work its way through you. A lot of your hermit mode is actually you processing past life things without consciously realizing it. The
Wow.
one of the coolest things that I have done as my channeling has evolved is tap into past lives and realize how much it affects, in very positive ways, our current life. A
Mm.
lot of the people that I meet are in their redemption life, and what that means is they have been through absolute hell and back in past lives, and this is their life to just pure redemption. Pure redemption. And so I feel so called to share that with the people who are listening here, like, this is your redemption life. Seriously, like, you are meant to experience all the beauty that you've wanted to experience in past lives but weren't able to.
Wow. Do you get that that is more common on the planet right now? Like what you said, you're just that more people are having that or it's because
I
that
I
really resonates. When you said that, I was like, wow, that's
and that's it.
phenomenal.
I don't know so much about the planet. I find that in the people that I attract and in
Mhm.
the people that my friends whom I go into their community that they attract, they're all older souls for the most part. I've met a handful of new souls. Almost everyone that I just happen to attract into my life are older souls, which means they've lived a lot of lives, and which means that a lot of their past lives have just been very intense. They have a lot of experience, if you will. And so this is their redemption life.
That is so beautiful. So, can
Isn't
I
that
ask
cool?
you, because that I love knowing more that that's part of what you've been channeling and working with people.
Mhm.
So, if people are curious to work with you, how and just learn more from you, what's the easiest
Mhm.
way to find you and kind of what are you to like dive into that or any other area?
Yeah, so there's 2 ways. So I have it's technically a membership. I like to say a paid community because it is just such an intimate community. It's called the Healed Millionaire, and it is for people who have their dream life, but they're looking for that emotional ROI and they want to manifest emotional freedom. They have the material things. So that is such a fun way to do that. Like right before this call, we every single month we do something called a joy workshop, and this is where I channel an activity for us to do that is not related to work. It's not related to making money. It's not related to achievement. So today we made paper snowflakes and it cracks me up
Yes.
because you have like these 7+ figure entrepreneur, these really successful people on this call making freaking snowflakes on a Friday morning. We're jamming to a playlist. The
Oh,
chat on
yes.
Zoom, everyone is just like, this is so like everyone's like sharing their snowflakes, like having a great time. And it has been just my biggest joy to be able to bring that out into the world. And so I love that so much. So there's that. That is a 12-month commitment because healing takes time. But then if that doesn't feel good to you, I also offer one-off sessions too.
Mm.
And so if you wanted to do a channeling session, then that would be I offer these breakthrough sessions and you can find those on my website. It's gabriellara.com or on Instagram too. It's just at Gabrielle Lara. I'd love to connect with anybody.
Oh, that's and I'll make sure to put the links in the show notes too.
Awesome. Thank you.
I am so glad that you came on and that you actually got the message from your guides of
Yep.
like, does Emily have a podcast? If so, come on. And boy, were they, I'm like, I'm glad that that message came through because what you just offered, I think, is so of such value. And I know, like, my audience, I want to just anyone listening to this, please share it with anyone else that you get this would contribute to. And I just want to say thank you and thank you to the guides that let that message come through so we could get together and have this conversation.
Oh, it's so fun. Thank you. And just for a backstory for everyone, I was meditating and I was just minding my own business. I was just doing my thing. And I don't meditate for long. I meditate for like 5 minutes at a time because that's just
Yeah.
I'm not one to just sit there for an hour. But it was just this question. I'm minding my business. It was like, does Emily have a podcast? And if so, just email her and ask her if she wants to have a chat. And I was like, okay. And then I got another message for her, which I'll keep between her and I. And I just shared that in an email. And she's like, let's go. So I so appreciate you having me on. I love this conversation and I just love being in your space and your energy. So thank you for inviting me on.
Thank you so much. That is a ditto. I love being in your energy as well. And I'm so thank you for sharing all that you offer in the world. It's beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I hope you got something out of that episode. If you like this podcast, please share it with someone you know who would find it useful or interesting, and subscribe so that you can listen to past and upcoming shows.